Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the regular scheduled Tabortown Council meeting for January 12th, 2026. Wishing everybody a Happy New Year as well. Just to confirm, we have Councilor Sorensen on the line with us as well. And that makes all 7 of us present in one form or another. So call the meeting to order and ask for adoption of the agenda as presented, please. Councilor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Motion on the table. All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 3, public hearings. There are none. Item 4, adoption of the minutes. Item 4.1, minutes of special meeting of council December 8th, 2025. Mr. Thibault.
The administration has no adjustments to the minutes, so back over to council.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councilor Renford?
I'm just ready to make a motion.
All right, very well.
The council adopts the minutes of the special meeting of council held on December 8th, 2025 as presented.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 4.2, minutes of regular meeting of council December 15th, 2025. Mr. Thibault.
Again, administration has no adjustments, so back over to you.
All right, thank you. Anything arising there? Councilor Antonuc?
No, I'm just ready to make a motion.
Very well.
I move that council adopts the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on December 15th, 2025 as presented.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 5, business arising from the minutes. There are none. Item 5.1, actually notice of motion, the Meadows Direct Control. Mr. Thibault.
So this is a notice of motion that was put forward by yourself, Mr. Mayor, on December the 15th, I believe, or the December meeting. And so as the procedural document requires, it's come to this. And since you put it forward, if you could speak to it on behalf and get the conversation going, that'd be great.
Sure, yeah, thank you, Mr. Tubin. I think we have had some of this conversation before, and basically the history behind this was Meadows was developed several years back, but 3 years ago, roughly, we had several conversations on how to look at the Meadows project going forward and or reducing or eliminating restrictions, actually. And at that time, it came out that the direct control was maybe the way to go. And that has worked to a certain degree, but it looks like there's been a fair share of gray areas, if you will, I believe, that have happened as a result of not being clarified that we could have done back then. Actually, we chose not to. But it seems to me, and there are some of the discussion we had with the council also, that it may be very prudent and important for us to go forward in that capacity. Hence, the motion was crafted in that regard, and basically suggesting there not be any restriction, allowing administration some more latitude to deal with this effectively going forward. So I welcome any other questions or comments, if you so choose, and that's basically where it lands at the moment. Deputy Mayor Sparks. All right.
Too many buttons for me.
Sorry. Oh.
We'd just like to make the motion that council directs administration to draft options to clarify the standards for direct control district 4, DC-4, that may include but is not limited to basements, garages, and multi-unit developments, and provide options for who may be the decision-making body on all development permit applications within the Meadows.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Councilor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I suppose this question is for you. What is the intention with the motion? Is it to, well, what is the intention? Can you clarify a little bit?
Sorry, I thought I was trying to, but basically to reduce any restrictions that are currently in place or misunderstood, I think, is what's happening out there. And because at one time, as you know, we did suggest that there not be any basements out there in any form, shape, or form. And so that's one thing. But also the conversation we had roughly 3 years ago centered around the fact that we needed to have more input and or flexibility to be able to achieve the goals out there for the initial purpose.
So the intent is to allow for a broader range of housing types.
Correct. That's right.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
All right. You're very welcome. Councillor Rufford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I really like this motion. I'm glad you brought it up. We need, housing is always good and it's not less restrictions. We have our planning and development that are going to be dealing with it like they deal with everything. And, I think the Meadows at one time was a good idea to have more control and push it in a certain way, but I think things have changed. And I think giving administration, the responsibility there is great, and I think it'll help development going forward. So I'm totally for it.
All right. Thank you. That would be the overall goal. Absolutely. All right. Any other questions whatsoever? All right. We do have a motion on the table. All in favor?
In favor?
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item number 6, bylaws. Item 6.1, bylaw 2025 addressing bylaw. Mr. Tebow.
So first reading of this bylaw already took place, so this will be second and third reading, and we'll just have Hillary Jansen come up and walk us through what it is that we're looking at.
All right. Ms. Jansen, welcome.
Good afternoon,
Good
Mayor and Council. Happy New Year to all of you. It's good to see you again. So with regards to bylaw 20-2025, we are seeking that Council give second and third reading to this bylaw. As you may recall, we had first reading of this bylaw on November the 24th of last year. And at that point, we had only requested first reading of the bylaw. There was some questions that did arise, but there was no resolution from council on any direction. So at this point in time, we have presented bylaw 20-2025 as it was with one minor amendment to a map that was in the schedule that was noted to have a slight clerical error. So we are proposing to move forward with this bylaw with its intent being to establish some consistency with regards to the assignment of municipal addressing and set some clear regulations on how addresses are displayed on property within the town. This would ensure a more uniform approach across our community. And in addition, it would improve public safety, emergency response times, and wayfinding for our fire, EMS, police, and operational crews in the event that there is, say, something going on within a particular area. As mentioned when we did first reading of this bylaw, if approved, town administration would look to launch an educational campaign to inform residents and property owners about our requirements. A 2-year compliance period has been embedded in this particular bylaw for that reason. This includes ensuring that front-facing addresses are consistently displayed and that properties with laneways would affix addresses at the rear of their residence as per the bylaw has embedded in it. And then after that 2-year grace period, bylaw would be enforced and any non-compliance issues would be addressed through our bylaw enforcement measures as noted in our section 3.8 of this bylaw. So with that, I would turn it back to council for discussion and open to any questions.
All right. Thank you. Any questions arising? All right. I guess I had this question previous when this came up. I see a lot of merit, a lot of great ideas, a lot of benefit with this, as you say. It's just the penalty side I'm struggling with, even down the road, like 2 years. Just an example, our 3-bin system was difficult to implement, and how to deal with that. Education was a start, yep, and then there was some penalties as a result. But I don't know. I just see that, particularly with people that are struggling financially, and whatever costs. I don't know. I guess you can have a minimal cost to a maximum cost, whatever the case may be. But I know there are people that have difficulty with that extra cost on their shoulders to comply, and that's part of my biggest concern, and/or some pretty stiff penalties as a result if they don't comply. So for something that's designed to improve things and help, it seems like that's a bit of a difficult thing to implement, that side of it. Anyway, I'm not against the idea at all. Great idea in many ways, but I'm just wondering about the education side and or the financial struggle possibility. How do we navigate those two scenarios?
So with regards to a bylaw such as this, you typically have to have some type of enforcement embedded into it, or else it pretty much means that anybody can do whatever they want at any point in time. There is the opportunity for council to change what the penalties are, adjust those to whatever level you see fit. Like I mentioned before, there is that educational opportunity that working with our communications manager, we would have a very strong communication plan starting from day one of this being approved to gain compliance and understand where some of those hitching points are with regards to the public and these particular requirements. And then also something that we could bring back to council, part of that communications plan could be looking at, well, if council feels that there's a burden on residents, do you want to have some type of program in place to help compensate people who have concerns with those costs? So those would be the opportunities that would be presented either, as I've mentioned at this point in time, changing the actual penalty costs, or after the bylaws approved, us bringing forward, administration bringing forward that communication plan, and also some other, if council wants to look at that assistance of some kind, that's something that we could bring back to council if you do that via like as a motion. So.
All right, thank you, Councillor Sparks.
Thank you, Mayor Prokop. Now, we just need to remember that this bylaw, if passed, is a living document. This document can be changed at any time. If there's something that doesn't quite work out with costs and things like that, it can be brought back to council for changes. But the premise of this bylaw, I think, is a very important one. We're not passing as a council this bylaw for DoorDash or Amazon or anything like that. That's not what it's all about. This is for emergency services. This is so emergency service can get to the correct address in a timely and quick manner, especially when having to use back alleys. It's far easier to have an address on a back fence than to count houses when that is the only access you have to an emergency situation. And yes, this is something new. I myself had questions. But as I talk to our emergency services people, I think this is a good thing, so that when there are emergencies, the right people can get there at the right time. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and Councillor Sparks took the words right out of my mouth that a bylaw is intended to be a living document. Also, I'd like to echo some of what Ms. Johnson said, is that like the penalties, the intention is not for them to be punitive, but to ensure compliance with the bylaw. Unfortunately, sometimes without penalties, that's incentivizing people to actually, comply with the bylaw, because it'll be a lot more cost effective for them to comply than it would be to not comply and then to deal with the penalties. And also, as with any bylaw, I believe that there's some level of discretion when it comes to enforcement. And I know our Taber Police Service is, I believe that they use their discretion appropriately. So I don't have a problem with the penalties that are proposed. And yeah, I would be in favor of moving forward with this bylaw.
All right, thank you, Mr. Thibault.
Yeah, I would just add and support what Councillor Firth had said. Given some of the bylaws that we do have in place that require enforcement when a complaint comes forward, I know that the Taber Police Service is always about educating first, even though they could be punitive. I don't suspect that would change in this, just because this is, a different bylaw. I think that's how they behave. I've witnessed them behave that way on other concerns or issues. So just thought I'd let you know what I see.
All right, thank you, Councillor Everett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess through Darrell to Hillary, I imagine most of the front addresses in the town are good. You know, most people take pride in having their address out there. Lots of people do. The back address will be new to some people, but all the people that take pride in their front one will put one in their back, right? So I can see there will be a little bit of stir up that I got to put an address in my back, but going to Councillor Sparks and probably through the fire chief, that it's a lot safer. So, you know, it'll be a little bit of a stir, but like we said, a 2-year process to help people work it out. I think it'll be fine, and I think this will work.
Mr.
All right.
Mayor?
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Sorensen.
So I'd be prepared to make the first motion
All right.
that council give second reading to bylaw 20-2025.
All right. Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried now.
In
Thank
favor.
you. And the third required motion, Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that town council give third reading to bylaw 20-2025.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor?
In favor.
Carried now. Thank you. Item 6.2, bylaw 1, 2026 Subdivision Development Authority bylaw. Mr. Thibault.
Well, I think Hillary just sat down, but I think Hillary needs to stand back up again because she'll be explaining this one to council as well. So we are in a bit of a spot with our MPC, and we'll have Hillary go through and explain what it is that we're thinking about on this one.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Once again, this particular bylaw would be a revision and update to our Subdivision and Development Authority bylaw, which is currently bylaw 10-2018. As you may be aware, just through looking at bylaws and the newer members on council, looking through all of them more recently, the Municipal Government Act does require that a municipal council create a bylaw for subdivision authorities and development authorities, which we have existing today. These authorities may consist of council members, municipal administrative members, and the Municipal Planning Commission, or any other outside person or organization. It's very broad what council can do in terms of those development authorities. So since my time here, the town has had challenges in attracting members to our various boards and committee, and this is particularly true for our Municipal Planning Commission. The town only received one application, and it's been actively advertised since the fall. This isn't something that just kind of gets on for a week and off for months at a time. It's been in there consistently the last, I would say, 4 or 5 months. The MPC does require, the bylaw that we have today requires 3 members, public members, to sit on the commission. So under our current bylaw, we as town administration could not convene an MPC meeting because we would not have quorum. That requires our 2 public members, and quorum cannot be achieved solely with our council members. We've also had some instances that even in my time here, where staff have had to contact members, both council and public, to ensure they were coming to the meeting because we weren't sure if we would get quorum that day. So obviously you can recognize that this can create some challenges for our development community and landowners, and that can impact project timelines, especially for bigger projects or more complex projects that need decisions in a timely manner. So in addition to kind of those concerns, in my time here with the MPC, I've noted it does extend our timeframes from a municipal administration perspective. We have to organize and facilitate these meetings, do the minutes, set them up, work with the members, the commission members, to make sure that they're available. And also this also impacts our subdivisions, land use bylaw amendments, and other statutory plans because they all have to come to an MPC prior to going to the respective authorities. So those are some timeline challenges that we have with regards to kind of how an MPC operates currently within the town. So in looking at this and looking at efficiencies and looking at the challenges with regards to getting members, we did look at a number of options, and enclosed for your review and consideration is a bylaw that proposes to eliminate our Municipal Planning Commission and assigning that decision authority to the designated development officers, which would be our planning officer and myself as the director of planning and development. So just to note, because I'm sure this question will come up, the development decisions wouldn't really change. We make recommendations to the MPC, as you that have sat on the MPC are aware, and the MPC members look at those recommendations, and I would say 99% of the time those decisions are move forward, whether it's a approval or a refusal. For the applicant side, we do see that having just the development authority being within administration, we do see a number of efficiencies that way in terms of reducing some timelines, some red tape for development industry, reducing delays and uncertainty with processing applications, and eliminating that duplication of efforts, so decreasing staff time that would be spent looking at organizing those meetings. It also streamlines our planning and development processes, and it doesn't increase our workload at all. As I mentioned, it actually will decrease it, so we can be a bit more efficient in that way. If council looks at this and considers it and approves it, we would look at our procedural bylaw, not procedural bylaw, sorry, our planning procedure with regards to development permitting notification, and we would look to be sending out notices in advance for discretionary permits. Instead of having them after a decision is made, it would be before a decision is made. This is something I instituted in my last municipality when I worked there, and it worked very well in terms of addressing concerns head on. I will note that my previous municipality, being Lethbridge County, did not have an MPC. So I have a lot of experience working within this realm. I am very comfortable in this realm. They actually never had an MPC ever in their existence, which is very odd. And when I was doing my research, I will note that other municipalities are moving in this direction. The city of Brooks just recently dissolved their MPC on their December 15th meeting of this last year. Medicine Hat is looking into that. Lethbridge dissolved theirs, and City of Edmonton also dissolved theirs within the last 3 years. So it is a move, I think, maybe just from a standpoint of efficiency, but also looking at who are you able to get to be on your municipal planning commissions. I think there are challenges on both of those ends. So that's very high level, my report, and probably pretty much what I wrote in there for you to read. So I will pass it back to you, Mr. Mayor, and if there are any questions, I'm open to anything that you...
All right, thank you. Are there any questions arising? Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through to Ms. Jansen. And when I read through this package, a lot of it I do agree with. The fact that we're holding up development timelines because we don't have enough people on our MPC. I'm like, that's a problem. And generally, you know, if we can eliminate some red tape, less red tape is usually better, especially for development. I know that there are certain things that we can't. My concern was, would eliminating the MPC get rid of any checks and balances that are in place by having like members of the public as part of the development process?
Thank you, Councillor Firth. Good question. With regards to checks and balances, I find that, especially because the only thing that goes through the MPC are discretionary use permits, by allowing the public the opportunity to see what those, especially the adjacent or affected areas, to see what an application comes in. Say if it was for a discretionary use like a multi-unit development that's in a single detached predominantly area, you would get that feedback in advance. And so you'd have the check of actually looking at your public first, getting some feedback, seeing if there's some planning concerns with that, or is there a way to mitigate those concerns? Instead of saying, well, this is what we think, making a decision, then coming back and being like, oh, well, they're going to appeal it because they don't agree with that, because we didn't work with them. So I find that when I've done this previously, that is a very good check and balance with regards to development, is because that's who's concerned, right? It's the people who are within the vicinity of the development. And not to discount what a municipal planning commission can do. They definitely do provide some of that insight. But once again, they necessarily aren't from that community. They're not the ones who are necessarily directly impacted. And if they are, they probably wouldn't be able to sit on the commission. So I feel that's a good way to do a check and a balance. And it's something that when we report, if this is something that council wishes to move forward with, when we do our monthly reporting, these are things that we will bring forward in terms of like, especially for the first year, if this is something that moves forward, that we can highlight things that are working well, where there's hitching points, if we've heard any concerns from the public. But I think the check and balance is built into how I see this process working. Sorry, that was a really long-winded discussion.
All right. Councillor Antonuc.
Ms. Jansen, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Jansen, in the future, if there was an interest where the public saw, well, it's all through the town, we need to be involved, and say you had 4 people put their names in, would we look at bringing it back in? Or is it this kind of something that you're like, this is our opportunity and it's getting rid of red tape? Can you expand on that?
Sure. Thank you, Councillor Antonuc. I do believe, like any of our bylaws, as Councillor Sparks mentioned before, they're living documents and they can be changed. Just because we remove something or change something today doesn't mean that if we look in a year and you get some feedback, or we look and say like, hey, there's some things that are missing from this process, that we can't amend it or change it or bring something back. I think this is just, it's given the opportunity that we have today and our challenges that we have today, this is a very good way to move forward. But at the same time, you're correct, something might come up that we find that there might need to be a change. So I'm not opposed, obviously, to any of that. It's not a one and done kind of situation. I mean, you're directing us as you see fit. So I would be open if there is that opportunity. We would look at it as same as we were looking at this today.
All right. Thank you. Councillor Sparks.
Thank you, Mayor Prokop. I think this new bylaw is a very positive step going forward, especially with, unfortunately, not being able at times to have quorum or people busy phoning to make sure people are going to be there so you have quorum. It's unfortunate that this has happened, but I think this is a very positive step. And especially with part I like about it in the new procedural bylaw, when the public is made aware of the goings-on before the fact, not after the fact. And I think that's a very, very positive thing, because I would prefer to know the goings-on and when a decision was being made as to post. And so I think this is a very, very positive, and I appreciate the time and effort you've put into this bylaw.
All right. Thank you, Councillor Effort.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I sit on the NPC, and I know there's been discussion at council and previous council to have 2 meetings a month due to the amount of development and ongoings, right? And that was a big push, that was a big lean on, the public, the members at large, right? So having administration and planning development through Mrs. Jansen is the better way to go, rather than lean on 3 people to come here twice a month to do something to just get it going. We got to eliminate that red tape. We got to keep going, keep the development going, keep everything hot. I think this is great. And going to Councillor Antonuc, if the public did say they would be part of it, I'm sure that they would come to us and we would look at it again and go from there. But I bet you we're going to see some positives in this that we might not see that. So I'm very much in support of this. I just lose it. It's just a fun meeting I'll lose, which was fun.
All right. Thank you. Councillor Wiebe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with some of the comments already given. Just for my clarification, if someone came to you, Ms. Jensen, with concerns, how would that be brought to the public eye before the decision was actually made?
So when you use this process where you have, say a development comes in, you send out notices, usually you give them a couple weeks to get back to you, 10 days to 14 days to respond. And then typically what I would do is, because we all meet administratively, we have a review meeting to discuss, hey, what's come up in terms of the development, what are the concerns that were raised. And so those are there's an opportunity for that discussion internally for us to say, is that a planning concern? Or is there something we can do to mitigate that concern? Or is that not a planning concern and it's not something that we can address? But then we can talk to that person. We can directly meet with them. We can explain what the process is. If they're still not satisfied, there still is the right to appeal, as there is today, any development that they don't feel that is negatively impacting them. So there is already built into our system that ability to have that internal review, but allowing the public to have that prior feedback prior to a decision, I feel it empowers people a little bit more to say, hey, what I'm saying matters. Obviously, sometimes we may agree with them and sometimes we won't. That's just part of the planning process, but hopefully they feel engaged and that they have had their voices heard. So,
Councillor Sparks.
And if there's no further discussion, I'm prepared to make a motion at this time.
Very well.
I'd like to make the motion that council give first reading to bylaw 1-2026.
All right, take a motion on the table. All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Councillor Antonuc.
I'm prepared to make the second motion.
Very well.
I move that council give second reading to bylaw 1-2026.
All right, take a motion on the table. All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council unanimously agrees to proceed with third and final reading of bylaw 1-2026 as presented.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor?
In favor.
Unanimously. Thank you. Councillor Redford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to give the last recommendation that council give third and final reading to bylaw 1-2026.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Hillary. Item 6.3, proposed bylaw 2-2026 long-term borrowing. Mr. Tebow.
So Mayor and Council will have Mr. Rob Osmond come forward. These are projects that Council had approved in our special meeting for the Capitol on December the 8th, and also inclusive is the funding sources that Council approved. So Rob's just going to go through the borrowing bylaws for each one of these for Council.
All right, thank you. Mr. Osmond.
Thank you very much, Council. So we have three borrowing bylaws before Council this evening. The first one we're going to have a look at is bylaw 2-2026. This is the long-term borrowing bylaw for the Industrial Lagoon Safety Shower. This borrowing is for, sorry, I'm trouble moving through my pages here. Is for $145,000 to be borrowed over a 15-year term. Semi-annual payments, we've listed that the interest not exceed 5%. Now, the reason for that curious wording is that when we have to, in advance of the construction starting, have a bylaw in place in order for us to be able to borrow. But we don't actually borrow the money until the construction is complete in most circumstances. And so we go on to the provincial treasury has a loan calculator for us, and they give us the rate of the day, which at the time of calculation was 4.02%. But the rate that we'll actually have on the loan will be the rate at the time when we actually make the application for the money. And so that's why we have that wording. There are a number of, when you read through the purchasing bylaw, there's a number of statements inside that make reference to our borrowing capacity and our acknowledgement that we do have to repay the loan. So in the circumstances where we are not able to, we have to raise municipal taxes to do that. That statement aside, all three of these bylaws refer to utility projects that will be funded through utility rates. So it's just an acknowledgement that if we don't have the utility rate money, we will raise the taxes to cover the borrowing. It is our intention for all three of these borrowings to be done through the municipal borrowing available through the province's treasury branch or treasury department. And we are looking today just for first reading because these borrowing bylaws have to be advertised. So if we receive first reading tonight, we'll go through the borrowing or the advertising process with the intention of bringing them back at the first February meeting for final reading.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not a question. I'm just prepared to make a motion.
All right.
I move the council gives first reading to bylaw 2-2026, the Industrial Lagoon Safety Shower Bylaw for the town of Tabor as presented.
All right. Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.4, proposed bylaw 3-2026, long-term borrowing, WTP site pipe. Mr. Tebow.
Again, we'll have Rob go through and explain it to us.
Right, so this borrowing is for the site pipe replacement at the water treatment plant. This is a $350,000 budget item in the capital budget. All the other components of the borrowing are the same. So it is a 15-year term with semi-annual payments and an interest rate not to exceed 5%. If there's any other questions, be happy to answer them for council. We're just looking for first reading again for the advertising.
All right. Thank you. Councillor Affleck.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm prepared to make a motion.
Right.
I move that council gives first reading to bylaw 3-2026, being the WTP site pipe replacement bylaw for the town of Tabor as presented.
All right. Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.5, proposed bylaw 4-2026, long-term borrowing, PLC modernization. Mr. Tebow.
One more time, council spends more money.
All right, so the third and final borrowing of the evening is for the water treatment plant PLC modernization project. This project is budgeted in 2026 at $1.2 million. All the other components of the borrowing remain the same as the other, a 15-year term, semi-annual installments, and interest rate not to exceed 5%.
All right. Thank you. Any questions whatsoever? Councillor Firth.
Again, no question, just prepared to make a motion.
All right.
I move the council gives first reading to long-term borrowing, water treatment plant PLC modernization project bylaw 4-2026 as presented.
All right. Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 7, action items, item 7.1. Letters of support requests, MLA Hunter and MP Bexty, Tabor Community Center. Mr. Tebow.
So I'll speak to this one, Mayor and Council. I actually did have MLA Hunter reach out to me a couple of weeks ago. The Premier had asked him to reach out and see if there was anything that they could do for us. Of course, they would like some official correspondence if there is a request. And so we put together one letter for MLA Hunter and one letter for MP Bexty. We put the wording in there that kind of explains what's going on in our world and really asking for some advocacy and some support. We do have that application out for the Green and Inclusive Community Building Program, which, if Council recalls, was about an $8 million, almost an $8 million ask, and Council had committed to putting $2 million into that if, in fact, we got the $8 million from the federal government. So looking to get any support we can politically, and this is the best way to go about that. So back over to Council if you had any questions or comments on the letter.
All right. Thank you. Any questions?
I'd like to make the motion, Mayor.
Councillor Sorensen. All right.
I move that council endorses the letters of request to MLA Hunter and MP Bexty regarding the rebuilding of the community center.
All right. Thank you. And Councillor Rubio, you had a question also?
No, Mr. Mayor, I just was prepared to make the motion.
Okay. Very well. Thank you. All right. Do you have a motion on the table? All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. All right. On to item 7.2, downtown parking. Mr. Tebow.
We'll have Ms. Hillary Jansen come forward again. She seems to be quite chatty this evening. This is something that I think you had put forward, Mr. Mayor, a while back in our standing items listing when that existed. And so this is a follow-up on that.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. So as per the September 8th Council meeting, there was a question or a resolution that was passed that requested that administration look at any possible additional parking availability in the downtown core area, and then also partnering with other organizations that own land in the area. So I did a review of the downtown area in terms of the lots, who they were owned by, what was town-owned, what was privately owned. And I determined that there was no public or privately owned parcel that could accommodate public parking in the downtown area at this time. Obviously, there is private parking for those developments like the IGA where they have their own parking, but they tend to not want to use that as public parking just because it interferes with their business operations and their requirements under the land use bylaw to have their own parking on site. The other solution that we looked at was to accommodate parking on existing road right-of-ways. And it was determined that 47th Avenue would be a good candidate for parking. So this would be along the CP lands on the south side of the road there. In talking with our Public Works Department, it was determined that for 25 angle parking stalls, it would cost about $250,000 to get those done. And so that was something that we looked at as an opportunity. There was another question with regards to accommodating some parking within where our fire, across the street from our fire hall. That parking is dedicated to our voluntary fires personnel. And in discussions with the fire chief, it's already deficient in terms of available parking for when there's a fire event. So we don't want to utilize that parking area. There is a little bit of public parking adjacent to it to the east, if I can orient myself properly, but there's 6 stalls there. It's not really that sufficient, but it isn't marked as public parking, but it is actually available for that. So those are the opportunities that we saw. On-street parking would be our best opportunity to provide additional parking stalls for that downtown area. Unfortunately, this is the only location that we could really identify that we don't have anything already. So back to you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Councillor Weeb?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Ms. Jensen, do you know how many parking spaces are currently in that same space that we would be paying this money to create? Like if
There's currently, as far as I know, Councillor Reeb through the mayor, I don't believe that it's dedicated as parking at all at this point in time. I don't recall seeing that because there's nothing developed there to accommodate parking. I know lots of people, or maybe I shouldn't say lots. You will often see people parking on the CP lands, which it clearly says you're not supposed to do. But it would be just because it would have to be regraded and paved, and then lines put in. It doesn't accommodate parking at this point in time, as far as I know.
All right, thank you. Councillor Firth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to Ms. Johnson. Was there any conversation with CP Rail about utilizing that land for parking?
So I have contacted CP Rail, and I actually was able to get in touch with one of their land individuals there, and we have sent a request into them to see if that land would be leasable from them, that entire stretch along 47th Avenue. Their process is quite long in terms of getting back to us. I was quite pleased when I actually talked to a person. But she did indicate that they would, so we've sent in the request just to see if they would even lease it to us. And then I would say that we'd be looking a few months out in terms of an actual response back to them if they would lease that land or not. The terms in terms of what it could be used for, we said very passive uses, which could include parking, landscaping, that kind of thing, which would be conducive to the rail line. We don't want to have necessarily a lot of structures. So that is something that we have reached out to them. We just haven't heard anything back to give information back to council yet.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Anything else? Councillor Soros, do you have any questions at all on this?
Oh, sorry, I just had to find my mic. I just know that there are people using that area for parking. So it would make sense for us to invest the money to create some parking stalls along 47th Avenue. My only question would be for the safety for that school downtown there, if that increased parking would impose a safety concern in that area.
Thank you, Councillor Sorensen. That is something that we would probably have to look into just to make sure that we weren't obstructing any sight lines along the roadway. There is the crosswalk, as you can see on the map. There is clearly the crosswalks identified there. But it is something, if this was something that was contemplated in this current budget or in a future budget, that we would look into making sure that we're not negatively impacting the school and the school zone.
So if I can continue, my comment would be just to wait and hear back from CP Rail and investigate all our options before we, put money towards a particular project.
All right, thank you. Councillor Sparks?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If there's no further discussion, I'm prepared to make a motion.
All right,
Make a motion that council receives the information in this item for information.
all right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor?
In favor.
Chair now, thank you, Hillary. All right, item 7.3, information for council. Mr. Tebow.
Okay, we've got 4 items for information. I do have Mr. Brian Martin that will come up and speak to the wheelchair accessible swing information. That was again one that was on a standing item list a little while back. Just to provide a bit of an update, I mean it is in there as described, but I'll have Brian come up and speak to that one.
All right, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Mr. Martin, good evening.
As was stated, after the last motion made by Councilor Remford to seek additional information, we had been approached. We had approached Tabor Special Needs. We spoke with them about what kind of features they would like to see in a playground, whether it was a swing or another feature. They said depending on the age of the individual that would be using it, but they're willing to work going forward because at that time we had been approached also by the Kinsmen to begin working on another playground. So between the 3 groups that we have the Kinsmen, this Tabor Special Needs, and Progressive Consulting, Progressive West Consulting. They are working on some grants and some funding through the Kinsmen to provide us with a playground. They had suggested a couple locations, but we're really excited to build a fully accessible playground instead of just one feature. So it's kind of exciting because everyone's kind of working, and it sounds promising that we're going to be moving forward with a fully accessible playground instead of just one feature in one of our playgrounds. So that's kind of where we're at this moment. We're just waiting on the final funding and the grants to be put forward.
All right, thank you. Any other questions on that?
Okay, so item number 2 is the council has seen this a few times before, the Meadows Progress Report. Were there any questions around the progress report?
Councillor Rufford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess Darren or Mr. Tebow, them setting up like a homeowners, like their community little association. Is there any movement of that? I know the town and the developer are still the majority, of that group. Is there any movement in that yet? Because I would hope they could get one going.
Right, so the question has gone to our developer, Mr. Bergen, and he has yet to respond to me, but he has responded saying he's looking in and counting the lots. The lots do have to be like 51%.
Yeah.
But we are awful close to that, but he hasn't responded yet.
Okay.
We have asked for that because it is getting closer with what council is seeing with people coming forward and having concerns in that direct control area. It would be awful nice if they could address some of those concerns prior to getting here through the homeowners association. So yes, we have asked that question.
So just to clarify, so there needs to be 51% occupied of the available 92 lots there?
I'm not sure, Mayor, if it's occupied or if it's ownership.
Oh,
I think it's ownership.
okay,
Yeah, so not necessarily occupied, but they'll work through that and let me know.
okay, all right, thank you. All right,
So number 3, sorry.
Councilor Sorensen?
I just have a question, if that's all right. I just noticed that our website viewing is lagging a little bit, and I was wondering if we can create something new and attract more visits. If we can highlight the new types of development that we're allowing in the area, and perhaps that could be shared.
Yep, for sure. I can ask Douglas about that. That's a good observation. I think you're right. He probably hasn't gone to mention much about the new types of development in the messaging. So I'll make mention of that to Mr. Bergen and see if we can update our monthly messaging for that area.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Item number 3, we have Progressive West. It says it's the December grant report, but because it's year end, you see the grant report for the entire year. I don't know if there's any questions around that. As you can see, there's an awful lot of asks out there, a lot of outstanding. There was some success in 2025. I can tell you that what they have provided to us is more than what they cost us. So just like the year before, they have provided more value than what it is that we're paying for the service. And so we're still in that spot at this point in time, and hopefully looking a little better in 2026 with some of the approvals that we might get for them. So if there's any questions, I could field them.
All right, any questions on that item?
I just have one, if that's all right.
Sure, you bet, Councilor Sorensen.
So I do know, Darren, that we open this up to other nonprofit groups in the area or in the town. Would that be shown in this report also, that support?
Yes, Councillor Sorensen. So that $7,000, it does include like Star Theater and other ones. I've actually asked for an updated report so it better shows that on this report. But yes, it has. This includes the community and the actual town of Tabor, who's done the ask and who's been successful with what. It is inclusive of all of that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next
Okay.
item.
Last item is just the traffic committee minutes for council's consideration or information.
Right, thank you. Any questions or updates in that regard?
Okay, that's the 4 I've got.
All right, and no motion required on that one. Okay. On to item 7.4, notice of motion, Mr. Thibault.
So this is administration putting in our sort of alternative to standing items. So there is nothing on here at this point in time. But if there was something that council had, this would be the time.
All right, see nothing at the moment. Councilor Sorensen, you have nothing either?
No, nothing for today.
Okay, great, thank you. On to item 8, delegation, no delegation, any meeting inquiries whatsoever, Mr. Thibault?
Well, there's been plenty of meeting inquiries, but nothing specific for today's meeting.
All right, great, thank you. Yeah, good point. All right, ask for motion to move into our meal break and move into closed session upon our completion. Councilor Firth, motion on the table, all in favor? Carried unanimously. Councilor Sorensen?
Yeah, in favor, sorry.
All right, carried unanimously, thank you. All right, we'll be on a 30-minute meal break going into closed session when we're done.